Now, speaking of doctors, I have to get to the most pressing issue of the day. This went viral over the weekend. And you know, since I fancy myself a doctor for everybody, I need to take it up. There was a very delightful and funny article in the Wall Street Journal by this guy, Joseph Epstein, no relation to Jeffrey as far as I can tell, called, "Is There a Doctor in the White House? Not if you need an MD." And the article says Jill Biden should think about dropping the honorific, which feels fraudulent, even comic. Begins, "Madam First Lady, Mrs. Biden, Jill, kiddo. A bit of advice on what may seem like a small, but I think is not an unimportant matter. Any chance you might drop the doctor before your name? Dr. Jill Biden sounds and feels fraudulent, not to say a touch comic. Your degree is, I believe, an Ed.D., Doctor of Education, earned at the University of Delaware through a dissertation with the unpromising title, Student Retention at the Community College Level, Meeting Students' Needs. A wise man once said that no one should call himself doctor unless he has delivered a child. Think about it, Dr. Jill, and forthwith drop the doc." There is some confusion here. A lot of people, especially in the left, think that Jill Biden is a medical doctor. Whoopi Goldberg infamously humiliated herself on The View, pushing the idea that Jill Biden should be the Surgeon General of the United States.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. His wife. Joe Biden's wife, because he would never do it, but she's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing doctor.
I thought she was a doctor and
PhD.
Yeah, I
could be wrong.
I think she's a teacher, but might be good for Betsy DeVos's post.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. That's because, in Whoopi's defense, Whoopi says it. She should be the Surgeon General. And all of those flapping seals in the audience say, yes, give us more of this sort of nonsense. Not one of those people in the audience who was clapping and cheering for that, nor did Whoopi Goldberg for that matter, know what Dr. Jill Biden had expertise in. And it's not even their fault. We live in a culture that worships at the altar of scientific expertise, even when that scientific expertise is rather silly or seems a little pretentious. Now, I actually disagree with the thesis in this article from the Journal, even though it's extremely funny, so I still recommend you read the article. The word doctor does literally mean teacher. So I've had this debate with Ben for many years, which is that I think physicians should not use the term doctor because they're not teachers usually. They're professionals practicing this craft. I sort of think that that preschool teachers have more of a right to use the term doctor than physicians do. Neither here nor there. It's a little bit of a pedantic point. I certainly would agree that it is silly and pretentious to add this title doctor if you are Jill Biden. Because you heard in that clip, I think it was Behar says, well, no, I'm pretty sure she has a PhD. Jill Biden doesn't have a PhD either. PhD is a research-focused degree, usually for university professors who are pursuing research in their field. She has what's called an Ed.D. This is a professional degree, usually for like high school and middle school administrators, and it just gives you a little bit of a pay bump, and then you can style yourself doctor. I am not making fun of people who pursue these degrees. It's a more advanced degree than I have. I, being a bachelor, perhaps I should style myself Bachelor Michael Knowles. Sweet little Elise would be very upset with that. I'm making the point that to style yourself in this way, with a degree that would maybe appear to present you with a more rigorous education than perhaps you have, is really silly. During my entire time in college, I had exactly one professor who referred to himself as doctor. He was by far the least impressive academic I studied with in college. He was by far the most insecure, and he didn't last very long at the university. All the other teachers went by professor, or they went by their first name. Many of them went by their first name. If you got it, if you really got it, if you're really confident, if you're really shooting on all cylinders, you don't need to flatter yourself with these sorts of titles. I can't tell you how many sort of mediocrities I know have been posting all over the internet. They say, darn it, I earned my degree. I deserve it. I studied gender studies or sociology or whatever for 12 years, and I deserve to be called this. It's so pathetic. A little humility goes a long way, folks. Even if you really did. Look, I'm a strong defender of the humanities. Frankly, I don't really care that much about the hard sciences. I think conservatives have fetishized the hard sciences, and we shouldn't, because I think a lot of these eggheads don't know anything, and as we were discussing earlier, force on us. They slip in all sorts of religious and philosophical and political stupid premises underneath the guise of scientific expertise. And I think that our idolization of the hard sciences and all these sorts of things has actually led us to become politically much less sophisticated. So I forget that. I want to talk to the person with the sociology degree. But just don't be so pompous about it. Don't be so prideful about it. Just, if you really got it, let your work speak for itself.